Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisheshai Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarini Jayo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So welcome once again to all the Prabhujis and Matajis for the Sadachar course from ISKCON Mangalore. So last class we did the intro, right? And basically we touch based few basics and what are the topics which we are going to cover. Yeah. So anyone remembers what is Sadachar? Uh, so if anyone can actually brief in one liner, right? So that would be great. Just a recap of what we did. Yeah.
The culture.
Yeah, it's basically the culture, the Vaishnava etiquette or the culture. So this course is basically to understand the Vaishnava culture, and then we did see, right? So what are the different things we'll cover in this course also, right? So like how do we offer prasadam, how do we honor prasadam, how would we are dressing, yeah? So how should we conduct ourselves among the devotees when we go to the temple, yeah? So all these things should be covered in this, yeah. And so if at all there is any confusion, right, so about the level 2, right, so there is another level 2 course also, so which goes in parallelly, so that is related to the Bhagavad Gita shlokas, yeah. So after finishing level 1, right, we go to the level 2, that's the Bhagavad Gita course, yeah. And then this is Sadachar, so wherein we will discuss about the Acharan, yeah. So even you can join that also. So if someone is interested to learn the shlokas, right, because after level 1 as we had exams, right, similarly in level 2 also we'll have exams, and then post you'll go to level 3, level 4, and then that's Bhakti Shastri followed by Bhakti Vaibhav. So that's the curriculum, so which goes in that direction, and this is the other one. So wherein, so these are all the essentials which are required for Vaishnavas, yeah. And then this doesn't have a exam, okay. And last time some Prabhu had asked about the attendance link. So yeah, there was an attendance link which was shared. Yeah, so I see that few of the devotees have actually punched in their attendance. So it will be good if others also can do it, yeah, because at the end you'll be receiving a participant certificate, okay. So we'll start the class today, and then as usual, right, so I'll need some volunteers to read through the text which will be available. But today's context, right, so we'll be covering the Vaishnava etiquettes in formal venues, okay. So this is the lesson 2. So this is available in our student handbook. Yeah. So this is the Sadachar student handbook, which is published from the ISKCON Mayapur. Yeah. So we are following their curriculum only. Yeah. So in this, right, in the second chapter, we'll be focusing on the pranam, right? Say once you're in the temple, right? So the temple etiquettes, yeah. The Charanamrit, Aarti, dancing, yeah. And then say if you have any questions, so Pariprashnena, yeah. And then the Vaishnava culture. So how do you receive the guests and all, yeah. So these are the topics which we'll be covering in today's class, okay. So we'll be going through one after the other, okay. And then questions I'll take at the end. We can take questions for both 1 and 2. Okay. Because last time we didn't have time, so this time we'll actually run through. Okay. Yeah. So any Prabhuji or Mataji, if they can read this.
Prabhu, shall I?
Yeah, good.
He sees the degree of devotion. At the time of offering obeisances to Lord Vishnu, a foolish person chants Visnaya Namaha.
Yeah.
This improper due to faulty grammar.
Yeah.
This is improper due to faulty grammar and learned. A person chants Vishnave Namaha. This is the correct form, but both achieve equal piety by their offering of obeisances. Because of Lord Sri Janardana sees the sentiment of living being. In other words, he sees the degree of devotion, or in other words, he awards the result accordingly. He does not see one's foolishness or intelligence. Nirmay Pandita meeting with Sri Ishwarapuri.
Ishwarapuri. Yeah. Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 11.109. So you can read the other one also, then I'll explain, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. A king is worshipped in his palace. The worship of Krishna should be performed in the way that a king is worshipped in his palace. So in Vrindavana, there are many hundreds of temples wherein the deity is worshipped exactly like a king. In the Naradya, Naradya Purana, it is stated, if person stays in the Lord's temple even for a few moments, he can surely achieve the transcendental kingdom of God. Nectar of Devotion, Chapter 9, Rendering Services to the Lord.
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you. So here, right, so in this context, right, say if somebody chants, right, so because everyone is not well versed, right, so there may be few people who cannot pronounce properly the name, right, so the the proper way is Vaishnave Namaha. Yeah. Instead of that, if someone pronounces as Vishnaya Namaha, right, so which is actually for a learned Brahmana perspective, right, so this is incorrect. Yeah. But if you look in, right, so both are actually trying to meditate upon the Lord, right? So either ways, right? So in both the ways, the piety is same. So the end goal is both are trying to actually meditate on the Lord. Yeah. So the bhav is important here. Yeah. So rather than the pronunciation is good, but if somebody is not so educated and then if he's not able to pronounce properly, right, but that doesn't mean that he cannot be a pure devotee. Yeah? So in either ways, so the chanting should be there. So if anyone with a pure intention, right, chants the Lord's name and then he remembers it, right, so whatever credit a learned scholar with proper wordings gets in, right, so it actually the other person also gets those credits. Yeah. So it is not that so only people with proper Vedic hymn style pronunciation only will get the piety, and the other person who doesn't, they'll not get in, right? And then even we know that say anything with bhakti, right, so the Lord actually reciprocates, right? So there is a verse also, right? Say in chapter 4, right, where the Lord says, right? So whosoever is surrendering to the Lord, right? So the way we surrender, the Lord responds us. Anyone remembers that sloka? It's in fourth chapter, Bhagavad Gita, fourth chapter. Okay. So it is ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyam mama vartamanu vartante manushya partha sarvasa. So there the Lord says, right, the way we surrender to the Lord, right? So the Lord actually rewards accordingly. Yeah. So if at all we have doubts, then the Lord will not reciprocate, right? So if you take the example of Prahlad, right? So he was what? He was completely dependent on the Lord, right? So he was only having Narayana, right? So his asset was only Narayana. So he was always chanting the name of Narayana. And then he was fully dependent. Even when his father tried to throw him from a cliff, right? See, he never had a doubt that whether Narayana will come and protect me. That's complete surrender. Yeah. The way we surrender, we get those results. Yeah. And then if you look in, right, so in any of the temples, right, in ISKCON temples, you might have seen or you might have observed that the temple is more or less like a palace only, right? So the artwork or the decoration to the deities, yeah. So or the cleanliness or anything, right? So that's the whole idea. So wherever there is Lord, right? So the Lord should be worshipped as a king, right? So he should be worshipped as a king in his palace. Yeah. So all the uh, paraphernalia or everything, right, should be as if say we are worshipping a king. Yeah. So that's the thing which is being mentioned here. Okay. And then so next, right, we'll go to the pranam mantras. Okay. So we'll go to the pranams. So what are the different types of pranams we do it? Uh, so before that, I would like to know, so if at all, if you all are gearing up uh, for for going to a temple, right? So what all things do we plan, and then what do we do? So while going to the temple and in the temple, you can tell randomly, so it's not anything systematic. But what do we do actually?
We ensure that we take a bath before going to the temple.
Yeah,
Then we also
perfect.
take out the slippers or shoes before entering the temple.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mataji. What else next?
Prabhuji, you
Anyone?
go to home, straight to home after going from the temple.
Sorry.
Like we go directly to home from the temple.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone else? Anyone
We
wants to?
Wearing tilak.
Yeah.
offering prasad
Yes.
or something. Yeah, sweets, flowers.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's something which we
दो
take
मिनट
to the Lord, right? Okay. Yeah. Good. So that's actually, so whenever we are visiting any of the temple, right? So the first thing is, as Mataji said, right? So we should at least take a bath and then put a tilak, right? And then so the proper attire also should be there, so which we will discuss in the next class. Okay, so what would be the attire? And the other thing is, we should always carry something, right? So like flowers, fruits, something which we can offer to the Lord. Okay, so it is our practice also, right? So if you see in our tradition also, right? So um, usually, so whenever we go to anyone's house, right? So if you are going to somebody's house, you actually take something, right? So some popularly, say if, some eatables or some sweets, fruits, something you give, right? So when you're visiting somebody's house. Similarly, whenever we are visiting the Lord's temple, right? So we'll have
चिने पर येलो डोसा आणि सूप आहे हं?
we should actually uh, Hare Krishna. Just take care of your background noise. Yeah. So we are all unmuted. So unmute if you want to speak. Yeah. That's fine. So the so whenever we go, right, so we should carry something. Yeah. So in worst case, if you couldn't carry anything, right, flower, fruit, or anything, right, so at least say whenever we go to the temple, right, so drop some money. Yeah. So that should be done. And then while before entering to the temple, right, we should always make sure that we clean our hands and legs. We wash our hands and legs. Yeah. So at least in India, right? So in whichever temple you go, right, at the entrance itself, right? So when you leave your footwear, right, and then when you enter into the temple, so there will be a provision to actually wash your feet and hand, right? So hope everyone might have observed this, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So we should make sure that we actually wash our hands and legs, yeah, and then just sprinkle some water on our head and then move on. Yeah? So that should be the first thing when we enter into the temple. Yeah? And then so once you enter into the temple, right? So I'll complete this portion and then we'll go on to the decks. Okay, so whatever is there, we'll cover them. Okay. So once we enter the temple, right? Say at least for us, right, in ISKCON, we first actually bow down and then first we bow down to all the Vaishnavas. Okay, so once you enter the temple, right? So there first you bow down to all the Vaishnavas, okay, and then you'll pay obeisances to the Vaishnavas, okay. So, and then every time we bow down and then we do some pranam, right? We should chant a mantra, okay, and then so we'll move ahead towards Prabhupada's deity, okay. So first thing is once we enter, then we bow down and then we actually pay our obeisances to the Vaishnavas present in the temple. So when we bow down, we should actually chant the mantra Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha. Yeah? So that we should actually remember, and then we should actually say play our obeisances and then move ahead, and we should go to Prabhupada's deity. Yeah? And then there we actually do a pranam, and so there you'll have to recite Prabhupada's pranam mantra, okay, and so followed by the other deities which are present, right? So that we'll see through, okay. So that is the way which we'll have to follow through whenever we are entering into an ISKCON temple. Yeah. So you might be seeing it, right? So few of them are already visiting ISKCON temples, so they know the culture, and then, but for few, right, it is very new, and then you don't know so why people are going down in different places, and then so what is the sequence and all these things, right? So usually at the beginning we have a lot of confusion and we don't know so what to do in, but this is the sequence which we should follow in. And then whenever we do pranam, right, so basically Prabhuji should do a dandavat, okay. So dandavat is nothing but the other name is called ashtanga, right? So wherein Dandavat means you'll have to fall down like a rod or a stick. If you leave a stick, right, it falls down on the ground flat, right? So in that way, the Prabhuji should actually lie down. Yeah? So they should actually pay their obeisances in that way. So they'll have to do a pranam. So wherein they'll have to lie flat. Okay. So this is the posture. If you look in, right. So this is the posture. I'm not sure how easy is this picture to see, but hopefully it is legible, right? So you could make it. Mataji and Prabhuji.
Yes, it's clear, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so this is the way we should go down. Okay, so this is the way where Prabhuji should actually pay the pranams to the deities and to Prabhupada. Yeah? So wherein all our feet, knees, yeah, our hands, yeah, and the chest and head all touch to the ground. Okay. So with this, we should actually even meditate on our mind and words also. Yeah? So in this, right? So this is one of the pranam mantra which Prabhuji's do, and then the normal pranam is also there, right? So which we do it on both the hands. Yeah. So in the Naradya Puran, there is a statement about bowing down and offering respect to the deity. The person who has once offered respect going down before the deity will not come back to this world because he will go directly to the abode of Krishna. Okay. So in this, right, so whenever we bow down, right, so it is said that all our sins actually when we fall down, right, when we actually fall down for this pranam, right, so all our sins will be removed by the time we stand up, right? So once we do this pranam mantra, so this type of pranam, so all our sins, yeah. And so for Mataji's, right, so they'll have to do Panchanga pranam. Okay, so this is the way how Mataji's actually do the pranam mantra. Okay, so wherein arms, knees, head, and mind and words. So this is how it, their position should be. Okay. And then for us, for Prabhuji's, it's arms, feet, knees, chest, head, eyes, minds, and words. So all these things should be actually, we should be meditating upon the Lord. So when we are actually going down and doing the pranam mantra. Yeah. So as I said, so whenever we are going down, so we should actually chant the pranam mantra also. When we are going down in front of Prabhupada, we should say Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya. So that mantra has to be chanted and it should be chanted loudly. Okay. It's not something which we can actually do it in our mind. We should actually chant it outside. Okay. And similarly, when we are going to the deities, right, for Panchatattva, you can actually chant the Panchatantra mantra. Yeah. And so when we are going towards the deities, so specific deity will have to actually recite specific pranam mantra. Yeah. So for Panchatattva, we can say Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Right. So when we are going down, then we'll have to do. And then so when wherever there is Radha Krishna, right? So we'll say Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu, right? So that pranam mantra. So all these things you'll be getting from the Vaishnava songs book, right? So we have a book called Vaishnava songs. Okay, all these pranam mantras are there. It depends upon, say, if at all there is a Jagannath deity next, right? So you'll have to recite Lord Jagannath's prayers, yeah. So pranam mantra. And the other one is this is normal pranam mudra, right? So whenever there is no possibility of you to do a panchanga or ashtanga, right? So you have to actually do the pranam mantra. So this is this type of pranam mudra you can do it. Okay. And the other one is anyone knows? Is there any other way we offer our pranams? And then we use the Sharanagati style also, right? So at the end, so we raise our hands, right, to the Lord. So it is like the word says Sharanagati, right? It's surrendering to the Lord, right? So usually whenever we say Hare Krishna, right, whenever we actually recite the Maha Mantra, then we raise our hands and then we surrender to the Lord. Yeah? So all these are
Hare
the
Krishna
different.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji, in the altar, Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also there. So for Nityananda Pranati also we have to say, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Pranati.
Mataji, so if you know, then you can. Else, Panchatattva mantra, so the ones would work there, Mataji.
Okay.
Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda would do, Mataji. So if you remember, it's well and good. If not, then you can chant Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Yeah? Fine, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. And so even Prabhujis, right? So whenever there is Tulsi Aarti, right? So whenever you go to Dham and all, right, you'll not get place. So at that time also we can also do Panchanga Namaskar. So it's not that every time we'll have to do only Ashtanga. Okay, if there is a space constraint, right? So then we'll have to squeeze in and then we'll have to do Panchanga. Yeah, and then if it is in Kartik month, right, you'll not get that place also. So space. So you'll have to do a normal pranam, and then whenever you get a little bit space, you can actually do whatever is possible, either Panchang or the full Dandavats. Yeah. And the other thing is, whenever we are doing Dandavats and all, right, so we should do it with all the hands and legs touching properly. Yeah? It shouldn't be that any of them is missing, or say your left hand is not being used, or you're playing your obeisances with one hand, right? So that's all incorrect way of doing the pranam mantra. Yeah. Yes, at times it is hard when we have the japa bead bags, right? And so ideally you should give it to someone or hang it somewhere and then do a pranam and then move on. Yeah. Else, say there is no option, right? What Prabhuji do is they keep it, they japa bead bag, they put it at the back side and then they actually do this pranam dandavats. Yeah. So while doing dandavats, there is no compromise, like one hand will not be there, head will not be touching, all those things will not work out. Yeah. So when we are doing it, it should be done properly. Similarly for Matajis also. So their hands, feet, right, these things should be touching. So and never actually do one hand pranams and all. So that's not advisable. Okay. So this is all about pranams. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone would like to read this? Any Matajis or Prabhujis?
I can go, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
Transgressions to avoid whilst offering obeisances. Don't offer obeisances when the Lord is resting with only one hand, wearing garments on upper portion of his body, reciting pranam mantra silently to the spiritual master in the presence of the deity, with feet point in the direction of Srila Prabhupada or Garuda.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
So these are a few do's and don'ts. Yeah? So we shouldn't actually. So whenever the altar is closed, right? So you might be visiting a temple, right? So at say 12:30 or 1 o'clock, right? So when the Bhoga offering is done and the temple is doors are closed, right? So the main deity doors are closed, right? So you can enter into the temple, but there you should not go and then actually offer your obeisances. So like all dandavats and all, right? Because the Lord is resting at that time. Yeah. So we shouldn't do that. Okay. And as I said, right, we shouldn't do it with one hand and all, right? So that's not good. And then this is basically for Prabhujis, yeah, wearing garments on upper portion of the body. So usually, if you look in it, still there are few of the South Indian temples wherein you're not allowed to wear upper garments. So whenever you go to the Garbhagudi, you'll go into the main altar location, right? So at that time, they'll not allow us to wear the upper portion of the shirt. So that has to be removed. So this was very strictly followed in the past, but now so in ISKCON, right? So we can actually wear this kurtas, right? So for us, so we can wear kurtas and then we can do it. Yeah? So that's allowed in ISKCON. And then reciting pranam mantras in silently. So we should not recite. So pranam mantras, as I said, right? So we should actually chant it loudly. So it should come out. It's nothing secret. Okay. So and reciting silently to the spiritual master in the presence of the deity. Or the other thing is, if at all, so now we don't have, but if at all there is a spiritual master, right? So we shouldn't actually touch his feet in front of the deity, because the Lord is Lord. Okay, so we can do it. Besides, so once say our spiritual master is little bit aside from the deity, right? If he's not in front of the deity, we can do it, but not in front of the deity. So all these things you'll know more in Nectar of Instructions. Yeah, so what, how many things we shouldn't do, the do's and don'ts. There is a full list actually. Yeah. And then we should never go down. So if you look in, right, if you go to the ISKCON temples, right, so we never do a straight pranam, right? So in front of the deity, we never bow down like this. So we actually bow down to the left. Yeah? The reason is that usually there will be Srila Prabhupada's Murti or the Garuda in front of it. So it's not, we should not point our legs towards them. So that's the reason we actually bow down to the left. So whenever we go to the temple, right? So that way. And the other most important thing is we should never ever touch our feet. So knowingly or unknowingly, right? So we should avoid actually touching our feet with others. Say like in any way, right? So if somebody is sitting, if there is long, there are a huge number of people sitting, right? So we should make sure that so if you have to get up and then go aside, right? So we should make sure that so our feet doesn't touch any one of them. Yeah. And we should make our way with our hands, so we can show the sign, so that excuse me or whatever language preferably works there, right? Prabhuji's or Mataji's, and then you can do Hare Krishna and then move on. Yeah. So we should never ever touch anybody with our feet. So we should try to avoid as much as we can. Yeah. So that's something which we should avoid. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Any Prabhuji and Mataji wants to read this?
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dinesh Prabhu.
Pranama. When a devotee falls down to the ground to offer obeisance to Vishnu, all the sins in his body also fall down and become destroyed. When he gets up, he becomes free from all sins. Hari Bhakti Sudhodeva.
So this is what happens. So whenever we bow down, right, so in front of the deities, so whenever we offer our pranams, right?
Yeah.
So this is what happens. So whenever we fall on the ground, right, and then do a dandavats, right? So whenever we go in front of the deity, right, in front of Lord, so all our sins and our body fall down, and then when we get up, we are free from all sins. We'll become lighter. Okay. So, and then if you see Prabhupada at that age also, he used to do. Yeah. So this is our Acharya doing dandavats. Yeah. Any Prabhujis and Matajis would like to read this? So this is about Charanamrit.
Prabhuji. Finish.
Good.
Temple room etiquette. Even a person who has never been able to give in charity, who has never been able to perform a great sacrifice, who has never been able to study the Vedas, who has never been able to worship the Lord, or in other words, even one who has never done any pious activities, will become eligible to enter into the kingdom of God if he simply drinks the Karanamrita which is kept in the temple.
Yeah, that's
Nectar of
Charanamrit.
Devotion, Chapter 9, Skanda Purana.
Yeah. Thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
So
Krishna.
this is Charanamrit. Okay. So anyone knows what is Charanamrit?
Hare
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, pranams.
Hare Krishna, Adish Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so Charanamrit is they do Abhishek to the Lord so that whatever the milk or the Abhishek which they do, that the remnants is Charanamrit, which touches the lotus feet of the Lord.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So that
Or
is
it touches the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. It's
yeah.
or doing Vyas Puja, we do Abhishek to Srila Guru Maharaj. So that also Charanamrit.
Yeah. This is basically as Prabhu said, right? Hare Krishna. So this is the Abhishek water, right? So the water that is being used to wash the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, right? So every day these things happen in the temple. So we can't do it at home. So at home these things are very difficult. But yeah, in a temple, right? So this is actually being done. Yeah. So and whenever you go to a temple, right? So make sure that we actually ask for Charanamrit. Yeah. So you might be seeing, right? So there might be a table or some place, and so there will be always Charanamrit. So make sure that we actually take Charanamrit. Yeah. So we should not miss it. So whenever we enter, after paying all obeisances and all, right, we should actually take the Charanamrit. Yeah. So it is very auspicious, and then it has got a lot of power. Okay. So if you drink, right, say this Charanamrit, right, just said that in the Hari Bhakti Vilas only, it is said that it is enough to destroy the effects of 1 million sins. Okay. Such as the killing of other living entities also. So even those sins will get destroyed if you have Charanamrit. Yeah. And the other aspect is it is so important that we should not actually allow this water to actually slip or something from our hand, right? So even if one drop of the sacred water, right? So this Charanamrit, if it falls down, right, on the ground from our hand, then we'll suffer 8 times. So it will become 8 million sinful effects. So if it falls on the ground, we must suffer 8 million such sinful effects. So instead of say reducing the count increases by 8-fold. Yeah? So it's very important. Yeah. And then so we usually so it is good that if we have a hand, right? So usually we take it on one hand, right, and the other hand is left behind, right? So it is good practice that we actually put the other hand also at the bottom, yeah, and then take this. Okay. So did you understand how do we take it? I'll show you. Possibly, how can I show you?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So basically, I'm just searching if I can get any pic. So you can actually put, if everyone can see, right, my hand, so you can put one hand below, right, and then take it, yeah, and then whatever is left over, right, you sip it, and then rest you should put it on your head, yeah. Hope that's fine, right? You all got it, right? How to take it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So we should actually have it in that way, and let's see what yeah, and then anyone can read this, any Mataji or Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Lord Brahma tells Narada, my dear Narada, anyone who puts on his neck the flower garland which was formerly used by Krishna becomes relieved from all disease and reactions to sinful activities, and gradually he is liberated from the contamination of metals. Nectar of Devotion, Chapter 9, Skanda Purana. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So all these things are called nirmalya. Okay. The garlands or the flowers, right? The charnamrit or the tulsi leaves, right? Which actually the pujari offers to the Lord during the puja, and after the puja is completed, right? Say at times we tend to get that prasad. Yeah. So these all are called nirmalya. Okay. So whenever and at times what happens is either a senior devotee or say any of the pujaris, what they do is they actually give the garlands. Okay. And so they put the garlands on you, right? So if at all we get that prasad, right? So that's called nirmalya. So whenever if we get any flower garland which is put on ourselves, right? So then first thing is you'll have to touch with your head and then smell it. Okay. And then wear it for whatsoever time you can wear it, and then you can take it out, and then if there are if you have gone with your family members, right, you can pass it on to others also. Yeah. So but one thing we should actually keep in mind that whenever we get such garlands, and then say whenever we dispose it, right, it should be done properly. Yeah, say either in a river or say in a proper place, right? So if at all there is no provision, right, maybe you can dry it up and then keep it up somewhere, or whenever you get chance, you can actually put it in river. Yeah? So all those things we'll have to take care. But one thing is, if at all we actually get any tulsi garlands, right? So we shouldn't actually wear it. The tulsi garlands has to be actually smelled, and then so we'll have to keep it aside. Yeah. So those things are covered here. Yeah. This is something which we should know. Yeah, and then this is Aarti time. Yeah. So any Mataji or Prabhujis would want to read? I heard another Mataji wanted to read. I don't recollect her name though. Mataji, last time you tried, you can word. Kajal Mataji, word Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Temple room etiquette. If someone sees the face of the Lord while Aarti is going on, he can be relieved of all sinful reactions coming from many thousands and millions of years past. He is even excused from the killing of a Brahmana or similar prohibited activities. Nectar of Devotion, Chapter 9, Skand Puran.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Mataji. So here, so when the Aarti is done, right? So what do we observe usually in Aarti? Prabhujis and Matajis, have you observed if you have gone to any of the temples these days? So people are busy with their mobiles, right? So they want selfies and whatnot, right? So at that time, so this is a common observation I've seen though. So wherein actually, even these days, I don't know, so it has become a trend, right? So people want selfies for everything and anything. Yeah. So people have lost the sense, right? So the whole purpose, right, of actually going to the temple and then actually looking at the Lord and worshipping and all those things, people have made this as secondary, and the primary aspect it has become that we should have a selfie, right? And all those things. So this is more prevalent these days with digital era, right? So, but actually, while doing the aarti, right, we shouldn't do all those things. We should actually witness the arati which is being performed right at that time. So we should look at the deities and the artis, whatever is being performed, right? We should actually focus and meditate on it. Right? If you do that, right, so all reactions coming from many thousands or millions of years of the past, those will be relieved. Yeah. But people don't know that, and then most of them are actually interested in either selfies or some photo and others, and then blocking others also to witness that particular arti, right? So that's what it happens. And if you look in these days, right, at least in Mayapur, they have stopped taking mobiles into the temple. So you can't take mobiles into the temple. So you'll have to deposit it before you enter into the temple, right? There is a lock room. You deposit your mobile. So that is very good. Actually, it should happen in every temple. So at least in bigger temples, we have that, because else I think it is very difficult these days to control the crowd, right? Because everyone wants a selfie. So, but we shouldn't do that. Yeah. So we should actually witness the whole arati which is being performed and then say, enjoy that. So you'll get a lot of bliss. Yeah. So if at all you get a chance, right? So we can actually witness the Mangal Arati which happens in the temple, right? If you go physically, then that is nothing like that, which happens at 4:30, right? Maybe once in a while, if it's not possible daily, right? So go and attend Mangal Arati, then you'll know the kind of vibrations we have during that time, right? And the temple are very different. Yeah. So if it is not possible, then anyhow, so Ramesh Prabhu has given us the virtual connect, right? So with his blessings, we can see the virtual connect. So daily we can actually log into the ty.temple link, and then we can have the Mangalarti darshan. Yeah. But if at all you should, whenever you get a chance, right, you shouldn't miss that. Yeah. Even if at all there are any visits to the dham, right, the Mangalarti is must and should. So we should never miss that. At least in dhams, the whole idea of going to the dham is to spend time with the Lord, right? So and to get association with Vaishnavas. So we shouldn't leave those things. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, any Prabhujis and Matajis would like to read this? We just covered this in the beginning itself. You can move on. Anyone can read.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Go ahead.
Yeah, temple room etiquette. Any devotee coming into the temple should always offer something to the deity: fruit, flowers, incense, etc. If one cannot offer anything in cash, something else must be offered. In India, the system is that all the ladies and gentlemen who come in the morning to visit the temple bring so many things. Even one morsel of rice or one morsel of flour can be offered. Even a flower, a, a little fruit, a little water, whatever is possible must be offered. Nectar of Devotion, chapter 9.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So this is what we covered, right? So we should actually take something, right? We should never go empty-handed, right? And at the best, we don't have anything. We should put at least offer some cash. Yeah. So that is there, and then that doesn't mean that the Lord needs all our. So Lord, we whatever we take, right? The Lord is in need of them. It's not in that way. Yeah. So anything which we offer with bhakti, right? So the Lord accepts it. Yeah. So because he is the maintainer and proprietor of all the universes and all the world, right? So he doesn't need anything for him. But as the reciprocation, right? So if the devotees if they give anything in bhakti, right, he actually offers, he actually takes it, he reciprocates. So if you look in, right, at the end it's been said that even a flower, a little fruit, a little water, whatever is possible must be offered. So anyone knows so this particular verse in Bhagavad Gita?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Patram
Prabhuji,
pushpam phalam toyam ye me bhakta prayachati. After that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Tadaham
Hare Krishna.
bhakti upara pratatmanam.
Yeah. So that's the verse. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktya uparitam asnami priyatatmana. So anything with bhakti, right? If we offer, so usually here in this verse it's been said that patram pushpam phalam toyam, yeah, a little water, a flower, a leaf, yeah. So if at all, if it is done with devotion, right, then the Lord accepts. That should be done in pure consciousness. But that doesn't mean that everyone does this. So for our sense enjoyment, we have all big cars and big villas to enjoy. And then when it comes to the Lord, we give only a patram pushpam phalam toyam. That doesn't work. So whatever is our capacity, right? So depending upon our capacity, we should actually try and give it to the Lord. Yeah. Yeah. And the next thing is dancing. Any Prabhuji or Mataji like to read this?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Dancing. Regarding your question about the dancing should be done enthusiastically by raising the hands like Panchatattva. You can also dance enthusiastically by raising hands. All of Lord's Chaitanya's followers used to dance with raised hands. Srila Prabhupada's letter to Kirtananda Bombay, 10th November 1975.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So if you look in, right, so whenever we go to ISKCON temples, right, so people, so the devotees, right, they chant. So whenever there is kirtan, right, and there are heavy kirtans, then few of the devotees, right, so it comes naturally to them. So you can't stop them. So they go into an ecstasy and then they start dancing. Yeah? So we should also learn it. So because for everyone it doesn't come though naturally, right? So few of them it doesn't come naturally, yeah. And so the basic step, right? So whatever Prabhupada does in, right? So if you see in most of the uh, videos wherever Prabhupada dances, he just lifts his two hands and then he moves. You can move in either way. Yeah? You can move left to right or forward, backward, anything, or you can jump, whichever is comfortable. So initially you may not like, you may be getting hesitated that if somebody is looking at me or so. But everyone is busy with their own dance and then say everyone wants, they are in their own ecstasy, yeah? So nobody is watching you. So you can ignore all those things and then slowly start, yeah. And say whenever we dance, right, at least we should make sure that we don't hurt the other person, yeah? So it should be done gracefully, so we shouldn't be wild. So here, so we are dancing for the pleasure of the Lord, yeah? So here nobody is looking how violent and how wild dance you're doing in, right? So those are not required, but you should be enthusiastic, yeah? Enthusiastic, and then you should do it gracefully, yeah? And in addition to that, right, if at all if there are any rules you're following, right, it should be done rhythmatically, right? So you'll have to follow. So whatever usually Prabhujis or Matajis, they can catch their hands and then they move forward and backwards, right? So all those things it should be done properly, yeah. So we should not, as I said, right, so the other ways we should never hurt the other person. So if you're doing any spinning or you're stretching your arms, all those things, right? You should not do that. Yeah? Basically, we should make sure that others don't get hurt with our dancing. Yeah? But yes, so dancing, singing, and all these things have to be done, right? So in ISKCON, so everything is blissful, right? So right from the prasadam to the dance, kirtan, entertainment, everything. So if at all we fall into that track, right? So we will love, right? It is not that every time it's only the study, right? So apart from that, there is preaching, there is we listen to the classes, right? So, and then we study, we do surveys, right? So ISKCON is a full package. So it's not that somewhere you do and then you do only meditate and then you don't do all these things, right? So here, so Prabhupada has taken care of everything. So he has taken every possible nook and corner, right? So, and then he has formulated all these rules and regulations and then he has given us. Yeah. There is no way you'll feel boredom or you'll feel lonely, right? So everywhere you'll be associating. So right from Mangal Harti, right? So everywhere you'll be associating with the Vaishnavas and then you'll be listening, preaching, doing service. Yeah, that's the way. So this is how say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda and all others, Shivas, all used to dance in ecstasy. Yeah? So yeah, so this is how we'll have to do it. And then this is Pariprashna. Okay. So one must submit questions with a great regard for speaker and the subject matter. Okay. This is purport Srimad Bhagavatam 1.15. So whenever there is any enquiry, right, it should be done submissively, right? So it is good to have questions. Okay. And then the question should be in such a way that they enhance your spirituality. Yeah? It shouldn't be that you want to actually show that you are more learned than the speaker, or you know more on that particular topic and then you want to probe or test someone, right? So all those things will not help us in our spiritual advancement. Yeah. And then there might be few things you might be feeling that this is repetitive, I know this, and then you want to cross question, you want to test. All those things should not help in. But if at all you want to enhance your capability, your spirituality, right? And then you put a right question. So which will actually help you. So all those things would be helpful in our spiritual life. Yeah. Anyone knows what is this particular picture about, and then who are these personalities in this?
Prabhu Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
No.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadev Goswami.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So this is where the Bhagavatam was spoken. Yeah? So this is Sukadev Goswami who is sitting here. And then this is Parikshit Maharaj, right? So Parikshit Maharaj had only 7 days. Okay. So where he he had a curse from a Brahmana boy. So long story cut short. And then so in 7 days a snake will come and bit him and then he has to leave his body. So he knew that he has only 7 days. And then so those 7 days, right? So he was the emperor of the whole world. Okay. And so he left everything and then he sat with all the sages, Narad Muni and all, right? So all sages. And then he is actually drinking the pleasure of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he is actually asking about the Lord. So he asked Sukadev Goswami, so what do I do in the next 7 days? So then Sukadev Goswami instructed him about the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is how the Srimad Bhagavatam came in. Yeah. So these were the last 7 days, so wherein the whole Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by Sukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. Yeah. So he didn't drink or eat for 7 days, and then the conversation was going on, and the whole Bhagavatam was spoken there. Yeah. 18,000 verses. So we can't imitate them. So these days we have Bhagavad Saptas, right? So neither we are Parikshit Maharaj, nor there are Sukadev Goswami who can deliver these things. So Bhagavatam will have to read daily. So it's not that in 7 days we can actually drink the whole Bhagavatam. It's not possible at all. Yeah. That's all commercial angle. So don't fall into that trap. And then one must submit questions with a great regard for speaker and the subject matter. That's what we discussed. Yeah. Yeah. Questions put by a saintly person to another saintly person about the supreme personality of Godhead or about the ultimate goal of life surcharge everything spiritually. Yeah. So this is all spiritual talks about the Godhead, right? So they're relish actually. So if you read the Bhagavatam, right? So it is full of nectar. Whoever takes advantage of such discussions is benefited both in this life and in the next. Purport Srimad Bhagavatam 4.22.19. Yeah. 4.2, 22nd chapter, 19th verse. Yeah. So this is how it, we should have. And then for this also there is a shloka in Bhagavad Gita. Anyone remembers this? How should we actually ask questions? So except Adideva Prabhu. Anyone else?
Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena seva. Is this the one?
Yes. Yes, Prabhu. Perfect.
Upadeshanti te jnanam
Jnaninas Tattva Darshana.
jnaninas tattva
Darshanam.
Yeah. So we should learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, right? And inquire him submissively. Because they are the self-realized souls, and then they have seen the truth, and then they can impart the knowledge to us. Yeah. And then the final section of today's class, it is about receiving guests. Any Prabhujis or Matajis would like to read this? Kirtan Prabhu, you want to go?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Receiving guests. The reception law enjoins that a poor man who has nothing to offer his guest should be good enough to offer a straw mat for sitting, a glass of water for drinking, and some sweet words. Therefore, to receive a guest, either friend or foe, there is no expense. It is only it's a question of good manners. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.18.28 purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The next one also, if you can read it, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Receiving guest. Read Srila Prabhupada's statement regarding receiving guests in what is this, Prabhuji?
In SHB is nothing but student handbook, Prabhu.
Okay, Student Handbook, page 15 to 18. Perform a role play showing unfitting methods of a Vaishnava receiving guests.
Okay, Hare Krishna Prabhu. So
Hare
this
Krishna,
is
Prabhuji.
actually, if we have a physical class, then we could have done this. But yeah. So whenever a guest approaches, right? So whenever a guest comes to our home, right? So this is the basic thing which we should do, right? Offer him some good place for sitting and a glass of water, and then actually receive him with some sweet words. Yeah. And rest it depends. So if you have anything to offer, you can offer him. Yeah. So basically, we'll have to make him comfortable, right? So in ancient days, right? So whenever there were rishis, right? So there were learned scholars, the Brahmanas who were very learned at that time. So whenever they used to go to the palace, right? The king actually used to give his place, and then he used to ask him to sit in that place, right? So that is as a matter of culture. Yeah. So, but at least whosoever comes to our house, right, we should do these things. Yeah. And even so these days, I know it's not possible, but earlier people used to actually give water to wash their feet and towel, right? So whenever they enter into the home, right? So if you look, whenever we go to our grandfather's place also, right? So these things were absorbed. Yeah? So guidelines, right? So offer a seating place, offer obeisances, offer prasadam, offer sweet words, yeah. And if it is a brahmana or sannyasi guest, at least sandalwood paste, yeah. And then receive the entourage also. In the sense, receive other members also. It's not that you focus only on one of the guests whom you know and then ignore others, yeah. And then host. So whenever we have a prasadam, right? So whenever we have cooked something and then say whenever we are hosting them, right? The first thing is we'll have to serve the guests and then we should have the prasadam. Yeah? The host should take prasadam after the guests. When a Vaishnava leaves, one should follow up to some distance. So if they are leaving, right, then we should make sure that we actually um, go with them, right? So it's not that from the home itself we say bye. So we'll have to go down and then go some distance and then leave them. Yeah. And therefore, we get from our Shastra that even you will receive your enemy at home, you will receive him so friendly way that he will forget that you are his enemy. So even if at all an enemy comes in, right? So you should receive him as a friend. Yeah. He should feel himself so confidential that he is not near his enemy. Yeah, his dealing and behavior are so nice. So even to an enemy, we'll have to give that respect if anyone comes to our house. Yeah. The morality is that whatever you may do, you have come to my house. You are my guest. So we should have that particular bhav. That feeling should be there. So if an enemy is coming, whatever it is, right? He has come to your house as a guest. So I must offer you all kinds of hospitality. Never mind, you are my enemy. Now you are my guest. Yeah. So how much ethically improved the society was. So this is how the society was in the past. Yeah. This is Srila Prabhupada's discussion with Shyam Sundara Das. Yeah. But they will take it. Some of them will take it, provided you remain also ideal. If you become also degraded, then who will take it? Yeah. So he is giving instruction. Prabhupada is giving instructions to his devotees saying that we should not be degraded like others. Yeah. We should be having an ideal character, ideal behavior, ideal preaching. Then people would appreciate us. Yeah. This is in Morning Walk, April 23, 1974, Hyderabad. Thank you. Anyone has any questions, Prabhujis and Matajis?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, if Matajis and Prabhujis, if you can stay for 2 minutes, right? I just want to give an update of our temple. Yeah. So, and then you might be seeing that there are a lot of messages which are coming in. If there are no questions, then I'll just switch on. I'll actually share the other PDF which I have. Okay.